Hello, everybody. It's in the middle of the morning, and I'm here, and I'm here to give you a morning reading. It's in my father's garden. I got the camera back today, and it's really beautiful to listen to a little bit of Kim Chernin. Kim Chernin, who has been called an eloquent and passionate by the New York Times, a writer of unusual power and insight by the San Francisco Chronicle. In my father's garden, through these lessons of her father's garden, Chernin finds a balance between the mind and the spirit, between contemplation and action. So you're sitting on your dove, or you're making action. This is my father's chapeau. So this is to Chernin, as Publishers Weekly writes in an interview, the basis for a new spiritual politics. That's cool. Spiritual politics. In which her honest, fluent book, she proves to be passionate and gifted as a spokesperson. So I'm going to continue reading on page 83 here from the Kim book here. Since childhood, Maurice has experienced profound insecurity. In time over the years of work together, we have come to believe this sensitivity has much to do with her parents' divorce. Anybody resonate with being a child and having your parents go different directions? Like, what? Okay, so... And by the way, my brother-in-law is doing great in recovery from his surgery yesterday, and so I wanted to share with you all that. So it's never a good time to get sick, but the medicine is good right now. We're not too old to rock and roll. This is an original shirt from Richard. Richard, we love you. I got Richard's pipe here, or I did. Let's see if I can find his pipe here. Oh, here it is. This fucker is Richard's pipe, and it's got the turquoise on it, and it's got the burned little hole there. It's Richard's freaking pipe. So, thank you, Richard. And his shirt. In time over the years of work together, we have come to believe this sensitivity has much to do with her parents' divorce. When she was a year old, her mother, unpredictable moods, an uprush of anger followed by an inscrutable emotion barrier. It's quite a combination of words there. When Maurice was 4 years old, she and her mother went back to live with her mother's parents. Grandmother and mother ran a tire business from their backyard. When the business began to take off, they acquired property and moved into it. Maurice was left in the care of
Michelle and Aaron.
Take time off. When the business began to take off, they acquired a property and moved into it. Maurice was left in the care of her grandmother, who had severe menopausal breakdown, accompanied by alcoholism and problems associated with that. The dreaded alcohol. Children. Grandmother had episodes of drinking, smoking, sitting in her chair, talking out loud to herself, laughing and singing and ignoring the granddaughter. The facts have caused me to wonder why mother left Maurice alone with old women. Maurice had explained to her mother the state of mind She had begun when she was 18 years old. Her daughter was born. She was a single mother raising the only child. She had felt a failure at marriage. The relationship with her father and the work bond with him meant a lot to her. At times, she was tough and disciplined woman who often seemed under pressure and worked too hard. Maurice grows up wanting to build the family life that she never had as a child. But when things go wrong, she tends to think the trouble was meant to happen. She asks, is there something wrong with me? Am I different than other people? Was I different as a child because my mother worked, my parents were divorced, and I lived with my grandparents? Will I always be different? Will things always go wrong? She moved into a new apartment. She has not yet taken out insurance. A fire breaks out and the apartment burns down and she lost everything. One day Maurice comes to speak to me holding a small black puppy in her arms. The puppy lies quietly on her lap while we are talking. Her hands rest on the puppy's head, stroking down to the small legs. The tenderness of this gesture passes across Maurice's face, softening it. Maurice tells me she finds great comfort to have the dog with her and to work in the seat next to her while she's driving. 3 months later, the dog is run over by a car. She is charismatic, celebrated fitness teacher. She has opened a successful aerobic studio. She expands the business, takes on partners who take over the business, and will no longer allow her to teach in her own studio. During this time, she meets a man she will soon marry. She and John, his two sons, become the family she always wanted as a child. She creates the home for them, built up piece by piece of childhood longing. There are good years for the mother and daughter. Maurice brings me pictures from my family, from family diners. There's elegance, charm, infectious warmth. At Christmas, Lynn arrives at their vacation home in Tahoe, 2 or 3 in the morning. The door is thrown open, the dogs stream in and out. She brings homemade cranberry bread and they carry in the tree. The car is loaded with gifts. The family and her mother was not able to give Maurice as a child, and she has created for both of them. By the daughter, she hopes for a child of her own. The years pass, she does not get pregnant. During these years, Maurice begins to investigate the cause of her infertility. She has laparoscopy and laparoscopiotomy, whatever. Artificial insemination, 3 fertilizations, and 2 of the procedures are successful, then failed during the first weeks. Each means the loss of a child, the dream and the hope of possibility of ever becoming a mother. Maurice is afraid her troubled emotional life as a child. There is something intrinsically wrong with her, and she has been punished by infertility. Then, just before Lynn's surgery, the Maurice has long since given up hope with a child. Lynn says to her daughter, I have a feeling that you will get pregnant and have a child. A year and a half later, in December, during the last month of Lynn's chemotherapy, I received an exuberant call. Maurice has become pregnant without trying. Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom. So I receive an exuberant call, and Lynn has a CAT scan. Her colon cancer is in remission. She will live and have a grandchild will be born. We are the presence of a miracle. We are in the presence of a miracle, a triumph over infertility and death, shared equally by mother and daughter. A few days later, Maurice goes in for an ultrasound. The fetal heart has stopped beating. Maurice's grief for loss of the pregnancy becomes purified grief of every mother who has lost a child. At moments, she is unrecognizable to me, having acquired a poise, a gravity, a stillness. And the grief breaks through again, and I wonder why I have to sit in my chair and can't go over to put my arms around her. Why have we have been talking together for more than a decade. I still have my mother, she says. It is having her and you and John that gets me through this. 1 month later, Lynn's back to start to hurt. The pain severe grows. By the end of the month, the bone cancer is diagnosed. Lynn is terminal. When Lynn and Maurice come to me for the second time, Lynn says to her daughter, I can't understand it, why you have that marriage. I can't leave you unless you have a daughter to take my place. Maurice, who has just lost a child, will now also lose a mother. The harshness, cruelty, and unpredictability of life are in the room with us. They're in the room with us. The harshness, unpredictability of life are in the room with us. I tell Lynn how much I too have wanted a grandchild, although my daughter is not the marrying kind. The mourning for the unfulfilled settles in the easily among the unborn and the dying. It enters quietly into the womanness of our condition, which is never protected for long grief and loss. In April, Maurice and Lynn are spending as much time together as possible. Lynn has been going regularly for radiation. Maurice sees her through the nausea and exhaustion and the loss of appetite, the growing weakness. Maurice is late for her period, but we all think it is stress. The doctor won't see her unless they do a pregnancy test. She takes home a pregnancy kit that she now knows routinely, and the test is negative. Maurice goes for a more comprehensive test, once again trying to see if she's pregnant. This was the fourth time, and Lynn is dying. For this child to be born, we will have to live through its mother's loss, of her mother's loss. Will it be the daughter that Lynn wished for, Maurice? Will grandmother live until the child is born? We have come back to this threshold, three of us standing at the door of my office, and the grandmother is dying. The daughter is pregnant. The story can now move forward. I started in the garden to watch them leave. The garden looks patient, long suffering, the way it does at midday. Today is obvious the fact that I'm about to be lifted up and turned inside out, never to put back the way I had been. If the garden knows, Maurice will carry the baby to term. Or not. It isn't saying the mother and the daughter are making their way through the gate. They move with terrible caution. Maurice is holding the gate while standing back awkwardly to let mother pass in front of her. In the next month, we will be all tested, each individually, all three of us together. Mother is moving slowly, stiffly through what intense late morning California light. A woman who knows she will die before the year is out. Wow. What will become of the rest of us is unknown. Grandchild who may not be born, the mother-to-be who may not become a mother, the listener who has walked out into the street to see them off. I have seen people drive carefully before. I have never before seen a car move so tenderly away from the curve, so preciously out into the street, and gently into traffic, I would be given to a lot of them to know back the unfold. It was the passage of death, or the death and rebirth together, but the garden wasn't talking. I have trouble with chronology, even in events that happened recently. In the few months ago, my impressions are not stored in a coherent fashion. Lynn died on July 9th, 1994, 3 months after we met in my office for the second time. Looking back on those months, I see the events clusters, respective actions caught up together, isolated from the others which play around from them, and before them seems not to matter. I have not been able to register a sequence. For the sequence, the chronology, I have turned to Maurice. To make a coherent story, I need her help. We sit together by the side at my desk in this room where we have spent so many years face to face across uncrossable professional distance. Her memory is precise, where mine is impressionistic. This makes us useful partners. The text I've given her to read is marked with corrections, suggestions, words circled and noted for their impression. My usual heightening is not needed for this story, which is self-contained patterns, its solemn, tragic crossing of the generations. Maurice and I reminded ourselves not to dare count on this birth. We remind ourselves that we have work to do. We lean forward on intent of our task. We have a story to tell. Sometime early in June, Lynn had asked me to visit her at home. She had not been able to keep many appointments that we have made. The pain had been too great. Radiation interfered, and she had been briefly in the hospital. Now she just had been told that she had 6 weeks to live. The next morning, I set out for the first time to visit the client to her own home, unsure of my self-awareness and crossing a boundary I've always maintained. During the years of our work, Maurice and I have met for 60 minutes in informal, confined space. According to established ritual, the dying has just now overthrown. Sitting on a park bench. So there I'm driving through a hot late spring day on an open stretch of freeway without much traffic, and that is the way I will be every time I drive to see Leonardo. Each time I will wonder what I have to give. I will want to turn around and run home and escape the challenge. Each time there will be fear of facing Lynn's physical decline and that she might look or smell. And I will each time experience a vague looming of terrifying sense of my sister's dying some 50 years ago. There will be a sense of, too, of weighty burden. Maurice has taken on my own strange role in this, having promised me to help Lynn die when she is ready. Having pledged myself to Maurice as a rock, and myself as someone capable of loving and a stranger, to whom I am about to offer more consistency, more availability, more steadiness and strength than I have probably ever been able to offer to anyone in my life. It seems to be a question of love, that the mysterious radiance that causes my arms to grow light, and the drive this lovely comes, and as I drive, this love comes with me. It grows perceptibly as I follow Maurice's directions from Berkeley to San Leonardo. Now, the core of myself seems deeper than I had imagined. Simultaneously, it draws closer to me. It is made of fierce, uncompromising feeling I remember knowing when I was a child. Because of this love, I have become calm. When I would usually be excited, I feel myself to be steady, knowing solid presence as I park my car and walk up the driveway to Lynn's house, where Maurice is waiting for me at the door. A hospital bed has been set up in the family room. The doors are opening out into the garden and of the small town of San Leonardo. Emerging now from an early morning haze, there are 3 large dogs, 2 of them which I have met before to Maurice. They come in from the deck to meet me at the door. The black dog, Robbie, is wearing a scarf. They come along with me to Lynn's bed, snuffling and nuzzling, getting in one another's way, getting there before me. I have to edge between them to get to Lynn. And as I now am there, and after all, I am not afraid, although she looks so thin, and can imagine her blowing away in the next gust of wind. If I work with dying people, as I now imagine, work I am meant to do, someone has made it very easy for me this first time. Lynn has not lost any of her beauty, the high cheekbones, her fine sculpted arch of her nose, and her face has always been strong. These have only become more perceptible as I sit down next to her and I take her hand, but then I am on my feet again, bending over to embrace her with that smile, that infinite lightness in my arms, which do not want to cause pain. I have the strongest feeling that I belong here, and I have brought what is necessary. Will not let anyone down, as I've always feared. If I were tested, I surely would. Lynn whispers, I have been thinking about you. Her voice is softly husky, so the expressive few words carry an enlarged meaning. Lynn is nearly unrecognizable, and the hardness has burned away. Maurice has been equally transformed. Her face whispers, more knowing, seems to have registered the intensity of her concentration of her mother. Every slightest movement, each passing tremor of Lynn's face, slow burdened, rising up her knees, the fluttering movement of her hands across the bed covers carries a message for Maurice, who responds without hesitation, sure of what must be done. Later on, when Lynn can hardly swallow, when she will no longer be able to say what she needs, Maurice will learn exactly when to feed her water, drop by drop, from a syringe. She is tender, authoritative, and determined. I can see exactly the sort of mother she would make. I took care of my mom, even my papa, and many people. I've done hospice maybe 4 times, and I'm going to keep reading this incredible book. There's more about that story and her meeting with Lynn. Quite amazing. I have many friends, and that's their work. Their work is
auto framing on.
Their work is beautiful, taking care of people that are leaving the planet. So everybody, that was pretty amazing. In the middle of my morning. It's 10:30 here on the West Coast. Jeff Eichen. Tomorrow's my show, and let's pray we can get to Willie before he leaves the planet, and redo Bogart that joint with Stash Wagner. And I'm gonna call Stash right now and see if we can get him to come on show tomorrow. Okay, so love you all. Take care, and go see your Lynn, and go see your people. Take your medicinal mushrooms, everybody. Use your incredible alchemy, your balms that you have. Use Richard's pipe. Let's see, I have the Sasquatch, beautiful Sasquatch scent. That's a beauty. The Sasquatch. I've had this for years, and Port Townsend has done me well. I'm going to stay here and watch the people come and go. My friends may be moving to Mexico, but that's good for me because it's a place in Mexico to go to. And in the meantime, we're working on our concert and reading the morning readings. It's my pleasure to read to you. If you go and hit my Venmo on relieffoundation.com, or I can imagine, you can help keep me going. Okay? So that's all I know. The Oregon Country Fair is next, and we're going with new people this year. And my beautiful friends, Mama from Rico the dog. So love you all. If you've got this far, that's amazing. This book here that we read today was really cool. You know, Rico, magic barriers. And so, hemp and hooray, everybody. Yeah, we did my father's garden today. It was really fun and nice, and I'll see you tomorrow. I hope. Sometimes I miss a day, but be good to yourself, and stay hydrated, and get your swim in. Okay, exercise your heart. That's all I got.